Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So my name is Bogdan Ferronda. I'm the Business Crime Advisor for Warwickshire, employed by Warwickshire County Council Community Safety Team and funded through the Police and Crime Commissioner's Office to carry out crime prevention projects to help and support businesses protect themselves from crime. We're also covering aspects of crime other than cybersecurity, such as retail crime, modern slavery, HGV crime. However, for the purpose of today's webinar, we will cover various aspects looking at cybercrime, cybersecurity, and cyber resilience.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bogdan. Joe, do you want to say hello next?
Yes, of course. So, hello everyone. I'm Joe Patterson, a cybercrime advisor from Warwickshire County Council, the same as Bogdan, funded by the Police Crime Commissioner. And what myself and Abby do, who will introduce herself after me, go out into the public, obviously not at the moment, it's more sort of webinars like this, and discuss sort of general cyber safety. Also do prevent online grooming, so around how social media can be used or could be used to groom a young person online, and obviously the preventative measures with that. We work alongside Jeff Thomas, the Prevent Officer, to do that. But in this presentation today, covering sort of invoice fraud, phishing, scams and things like that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. And last but not least, over to Abby, who will introduce herself and then kick off our presentation for this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone. My name is Abby Baker, and I'm also a cybercrime advisor within the community safety team of Warwickshire County Council. My post again is funded by the Police and Crime Commissioner, and my main initiative is basically to prevent and reduce risk of harm from cyber crimes to individuals, and within this try to cover all aspects of online safety and scam awareness to give the public an idea of how not to fall victim and where to seek help and report. And if we can share our session now. Excellent. Brilliant. So just next slide, please, Crispin. Excellent. So to start with the threats, we are seeing massive growth in cybercrimes on businesses, and these businesses are being further undermined as a result of fraudsters taking advantage fully of the current situation regarding COVID-19. To give you an idea of the scale of these cyber scams, in Warwickshire, 179 cyber-related crimes were reported between April 2018 to March 2019, with a £118,000 loss. 16% of these reported were from businesses, so knowing the current risks and how best to avoid these threats will be a massive advantage to your business, as again, criminals are using this current situation as an opportunity to target employees who are right now isolated from their colleagues. Next slide, please, Crispin. So the first threat I will be discussing is one of the most common and prevalent still, and that is phishing scams. So phishing emails and messages are crafted to deliver a sense of urgency, fear, or similar emotion in the victim, leading the victim to promptly reveal sensitive information, click a malicious link, or open a malicious file. During this time, we are seeing mass amounts of COVID-related phishing emails, such as fraudulent-related gov tax refunds, donate to help the fight scams, and also things like fake PPE scams. And these will just be designed to harvest personal details or steal money. If you suspect a link in one of these emails may be fraudulent, be sure not to click on the link, but you could simply hover the mouse over the link and it will actually show you the intended web address that it will take you to. And if this looks suspicious in any way, do not click on it. So currently, fraudsters are becoming more and more sophisticated as hackers are now doing a bit of extra research to make the email appear more legitimate. From this, are utilizing spear phishing, seeing government officials or a senior member of the business in order to put pressure on employees to give out sensitive information or make payments. And because the email looks legitimate, employees often don't look any further and will respond with the requested information quickly. So an example of this spear phishing being used would be CEO impersonation scams, whereby a specific employee is targeted and receives an email claiming to be the CEO requesting specific sensitive information or for a payment to be made immediately. They will give a short time frame for the info to be sent over or for the payment to be completed, creating that sense of urgency and that sense of panic. So with this, the current situation increases this risk of both CEO and impersonation fraud further, as employees are obviously working remotely, and this can be used as sort of a justification for any of these unusual or non-routine payment requests. Therefore, staff need to be cautious if they receive any suspicious, unexpected urgent requests, as if this email comes from someone you know and trust, always take the time to reach out to that individual directly, either by phone or through a separate email thread, as rest assured, it's much better to confirm and proceed with it confidently than the alternative. So the rule is always think before you click. Now, just as an additional piece of advice, the National Cybersecurity Centre have created a suspicious email reporting service just right now to increase measures to protect the UK from online harm, as people are obviously staying home and being online more often. So just at the bottom left-hand side there in orange, I've just added the email address. So if you received an email you're just not sure about, or you might be a little bit suspicious of, you simply just have to forward it to that address where the NCSE have been successfully taking down fraudulent sites and also blocking scam email addresses. Next slide, please, Kristen. So next I will be discussing malicious software, as this can be massively damaging to a business. A current COVID example of malware, seen on just the left-hand side of your screen right now, being used to trick people, whereby hackers are pretending to represent organizations like, as we see on the screen, the World Health Organization, claiming that an attached document details how recipients prevent the disease's spread. However, if a victim were to click on the attached document, it does not contain any useful advice and instead will infect that device with malicious software, in this instance known as Agent Tesla Keylogger. And what this malware does is it records every keystroke and sends it to the attackers, which basically allows them to monitor the victim's every move online. So to avoid scams like this, employees should be extremely wary of emails claiming to be from the organizations like the WHO, as they will be fraudulent. And instead, they should visit the WHO's official website or social media pages for any updates or any of the latest advice on the current situation. Also, in recent years, we've seen a dramatic increase in the use of ransomware being delivered alongside phishing emails. An example of this is just on the right-hand side of your screen now. And what ransomware is, it's a type of malicious malware, malicious software designed to block access to a computer system until a sum of money is paid in the cryptocurrency Bitcoin in order to regain access. Now, a really famous example of this that I'm sure a lot of you have heard of was the WannaCry attack on the NHS. This hack caused more than 19,000 appointments to be cancelled, costing the NHS £20 million between the 12th of May and the 19th of May 2017, and £72 million in the subsequent cleanup and upgrades to IT systems. But it's really, really important to remember that the F did important. So what can your employees do to minimize the chances of your business falling victim to these schemes? Well, firstly, not opening emails in spam folders or emails whose recipients you do not know, not opening the attachments in emails if you're suspicious or if it's an unknown origin, performing regular backups to external mediums. This can either be an external hard drive or a cloud-based system. And then finally, just the next slide, please, Kristen. Yeah, finally, do not pay the ransom. Like, as I said with the NHS, the reason why criminals keep utilizing this form of blackmail attack is that people keep on paying. So your business should always refer to an IT specialist rather than funding this criminal activity. If your business does pay the ransom fee, you will be extremely vulnerable to being targeted again. And there's a chance that you still might not be able to get these files back. And there might be no intention for the criminals to ever get rid of the ransomware off of your systems if they think they will always receive payment. So rather than wait, always call the NCSE, which is the National Cybersecurity Centre, if there is any ransomware on your systems. And now I will pass you over to my colleague, Joe.
Brilliant, thank you, Abby. So amongst all of what Abby has mentioned there's also invoice fraud. This involves a fraudster notifying a company that supplier details have changed and providing alternative details in order to defraud you. An example of this can be seen on the slide. Although a very basic example, this is a perfect one. The fraudster will often know the relationships between companies and their suppliers and will know the details of when regular payments are due. This can be done via email, phone call, or by letter. The fraudsters will quite often ensure that these are well written. Email addresses are spoofed but convincing, often only changing a single letter, or in the case of malware or ransomware infected PCs, addresses within the company. And if they were addresses within the company and you were receiving one of them, would you actually suspect that it wasn't from someone within the company requesting that change of bank details? A recent study showed that 4 in 10 businesses in the UK are unaware of the risk faced by invoice fraud, with a total of £93 million lost in 2018. And with working from home for many businesses being the new norm, there is the potential that this particular type of fraud can be exploited further. Businesses are relying more than ever on email communications with colleagues and suppliers. Therefore, just by sheer volume, the likelihood of someone that is working from home falling victim to this scam could increase. Also, being the target of a phishing email, ransomware and malware could mean that there is access to legitimate email addresses making their way through spam filters and other defense measures. Fraudsters also know that PPE at this current time is supplied to businesses and will therefore tailor emails to look like that of the supplier. There are many ways that you can prevent this from happening within the business. These include always verifying details of any new/amended payment instructions verbally by using details held on file and not on the instruction. If you're suspicious about a request made by phone, ask the caller if you can call them back on a trusted number. Fraudsters will attempt to pressure you into making mistakes. Take the pressure off by taking control of the situation. Consider removing information such as testimonials from your own or your supplier's websites or social media channels that could lead fraudsters to knowing who your suppliers are. Look carefully at every invoice and compare it to previous invoices received that you know to be genuine, particularly the bank account details, wording used, and also the company logo. Consider setting up single points of contact with the companies you pay regularly. Apply the same principles to requests from within your own organisation. Regularly conduct audits on your accounts. Make sure that all staff are aware of this type of fraud on your accounts, and also make all staff aware of it and make them responsible for making the payments as well. Next slide, please, Crispin. So moving on into the track and trace system. This is where certain organisations should be collecting details and maintaining records of staff, customers and visitors on their premises. This information is held for 21 days. This reflects the incubation period of COVID-19 and also an additional 7 days to allow for testing and tracing. Therefore, organisations are holding a significant amount more data than they would usually be used to, posing potentially more of a hazardous risk and more security vulnerabilities, many of which we've discussed. So phishing emails, spear phishing, ransomware and malware, amongst many others. Data such as names, contact details of staff, as well as the dates and times that staff are at work, and name of customer or visitor or lead member of the group, and the number of people in the group. So contact telephone number for each customer or visitor, date of visit, arrival time, and where possible, the departure time of them. And also if the customer is only dealing with one member of staff, then the details of that, who they dealt with, needs to be taken as well. all valuable data to a fraudster who will know that this information is being held. This data is being held by pubs, bars, restaurants, cafes, hotels, close contact services, facilities provided by local authority, and also places of worship. All of these that I've mentioned are responsible for ensuring that the personal data that is held is kept securely. That includes making sure it is physically safe in the case of paper records, or digitally safe in the case of electronic records. The government recommends electronic collection measures, and businesses need to ensure they have adequate cybersecurity in place, as well as some staff training so that employees understand their responsibilities when handling personal data. It is very much manageable for your organisation, as they put on the Gov website. Does this mean that you are more likely to be the target of a cyber attack? This is unknown. Fraudsters work with certain organisations trying to infect computers with malware, ransomware, phishing emails, and many more during this time to get this information. So it's vitally important that staff understand their responsibilities when handling data, that this data is secure digitally or physically, and that training is done on how to spot phishing emails and cyber attacks. All data must be handled in accordance with GDPR to protect the privacy of staff, customers, and visitors. This includes, it's not necessary to seek consent from each person, but you should make clear why information is being held and what you intend to do with it. If you already take this information for ordinary business purposes, you should make staff, customers, and visitors aware that their contact information may now also be shared with NHS Test and Trace. Informing each person is not necessary. Display notices at your premises or on your website setting out what data will be used for and the circumstances in which it might be accessed by the NHS Test and Trace system. Personal data that is collected for this, which you would not collect in your usual course of business, must be used only to share with the NHS Test and Trace and not for any other purposes at all. Also, when it comes to deleting the data after 21 days, you must do so in a way that does not risk unintended access. So in physical form, by shedding paper documents, and in digital form, ensuring permanent deletion of electronic files and disposal of data in relation to a record that is created solely for the purpose of the NHS Test and Trace. I will now be passing on to Simon Critwell, who will be talking about working from home.
Thanks, Joe. So working from home, in addition to phishing and similar scams, staff who are currently working from home or working remotely may also be at additional risk from cyber criminals because of the devices and software packages that they're using, how they're connecting to the internet, and how they're communicating with colleagues. In secure office locations, somewhere that we were all used to being at in a few months ago, staff will be storing and sharing financial information, sensitive documents, and customer data, and it's important that if they're doing this at home, it's done safely and securely. So, what do businesses need to discourage their staff from doing, and what do businesses need to do themselves? So let's start by looking at shadow IT. So it's really important to keep home and office computing separate wherever possible. So staff need to be discouraged from using their own IT equipment for work purposes, computers, printers, and other peripherals that may not be securely password protected. Personal software packages, cloud storage, email applications, they may also be more vulnerable if they're not protected and checked regularly for security flaws. And staff working from home should also consider disabling smart devices like Google's Assistant, Apple's Siri, Amazon's Alexa, and Facebook's Portal, especially if they're doing a lot of work which involves speaking to customers and colleagues. It's really easy to fall into the trap of mixing personal and business when working from home. Even Hillary Clinton used her personal email address to conduct official business during the 2016 US election. So it's very easy for employees to fall into that trap. So what can you do to protect your business and your employee private network? Ideally, your employees should be using their office computers in the home setting and connecting to your office network and its suite of tools via a VPN, which creates a safe your employees and your office through the bad neighborhoods of the internet. It's in this environment that they should be creating, storing, and sharing information. However, VPN does not mean that an employee's computer is secure, which is why staff continually need to be warned about phishing and similar scams. A compromised computer might create a direct channel via VPN for a hacker to get into an organization's network. Think about introducing some acceptable usage policies. So discourage staff from accessing any private applications, as we said, such as email, cloud file sharing, or social media on their work devices. And that can be done by introducing an acceptable usage policy that applies both in the home and at the office. Staff also need to remember that, and especially those that live in shared properties, that they should also ensure their screens cannot be accessed by locking their devices when they're not in use. Don't improvise. If staff are communicating with each other via collaborative tools, again, these ought to be those that are part of your business's suite of applications, such as Teams in Office 365. It can be really tempting for staff to look outside for alternative substitute platforms, especially if they appear to provide a better service. But in doing so, employees could introduce a software program with a security flaw that could be exploited by a hacker. And this also applies to instant messaging as well. BYOD, or bring your own device. We do recognise, however, that for many small businesses, providing staff with work computers may be unaffordable, and staff may instead be using personally owned devices on which they are doing work and personal computing. These may be linked to a work network via VPN, but equally could hold sensitive data in their own memory. If the latter is your business's situation, then it's important that your staff understand that their legal responsibilities for protecting people's personal information, they do have those legal responsibilities, and that you plan for security incidents to limit data loss. So, for example, are you prepared, or could you remotely wipe sensitive data from a personally owned device that was lost or stolen? Something to think about. One of the key things that we always say is stay connected. Employees who are isolated are more likely to fall victim to scammers. So stay connected with your staff and provide them with regular updates on potential threats and on policies. And finally, as my colleagues have been saying, don't forget the basics. So whether or not your staff are able to link to your office network and take advantage of the security benefits therein, or whether they're using their own or a work device, it's still important to remember the basics. Wi-Fi, devices and applications should be password protected. Passwords themselves should be strong and unique, and two-step authentication should be used. Software must be updated when new updates become available, and firewalls and antivirus software needs to be employed. Next slide, please, Crispin. So to summarize, if your employees are working from home, then ideally they should use a work-provided computer device, software and peripherals. They should be connecting to a work network via VPN. They should keep their computer locked when not in use, and they should avoid mixing work and home computing. If that's not possible, then don't forget the security basics. Strong, unique passwords, two-step authentication, firewalls and antivirus software. But always, and this is really key, keep in touch with your staff, keep them updated, make sure you know what's happening in their own homes as they work for your business. And thank you for that, and I'll now pass you on to my colleague Bogdan.
Thank you very much, Simon. So, hi everyone, I hope you found the information useful so far. We will now be looking at cyber resilience, recovery and business continuity, which plays an important role for your business and also helps to avoid disruption of your business services. So the business continuity planning basically is the process of creating systems of prevention and recovery to deal with potential threats to a company, including a potential cyber attack. Whether you are small, medium, large business, the business continuity plan is equally important to have in case of an emergency. In addition to prevention, our aim here is to ensure we enable ongoing operations before and during a potential cyber attack on your business. So the business continuity should vary from business to business, really, and tailored based on your business activities, services, and structure. It may start from 1 page to 100 pages long document. It may include information about recovery processes, risk assessments, structure charts, alternative equipment or location in the event of a cyber attack, point out critical services, and also look at cyber insurance elements if applicable. We always recommend test and exercise your business continuity plan and create a record of periodic testing as well. Although it might sound easy, many businesses that spend time and money creating a business emergency plan make the common mistake of not testing their plan periodically. This then leads to uncertainties in the event of a cyber attack or any other potential threat to your organization. It is particularly important to communicate your plan with your staff. Make it clear what communication channels are to be used for in and out of hours, such as work phones, WhatsApp groups, etc. Also ensure contact details, phone number, emails, have been tested and up to date. Consider looking at alternative contact methods as well. Also, the National Cybersecurity Center launched the latest measure to support small businesses test their cyber resilience while staff work remotely, which might complement the work you may consider doing after today's session. The home and remote working exercise will form part of the exercise in a box toolkit, which I'm going to kind of cover later on today. Next slide, please. Right. So exercise in a box is an easy to use and free product created by the National Cybersecurity Center, designed for small and medium businesses, local government, and industry users as well. It is an online service that helps businesses find out how resilient their organization is to cyber attack, which evaluates your readiness to respond to critical cyber incidents, and all in a safe environment as well. It is also designed to kind of complement your business practices and can direct you to other useful information and guidance, including Cyber Essentials and the Small Business Guide, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Exercise in a Box has been created to enable any organization, whether small or medium, to facilitate their own cyber exercise and provide all the knowledge required to set up logistics planning, delivery, and post-exercise activities. The link attached to guides you to register for an account and do the test on your own. So you can also facilitate by your own the test as well. Next slide, please. So together with our cybercrime advisors, we have produced a cyber safe guide for small and medium businesses to help and protect themselves from the most common cyber attacks. Most topics covered are easy to understand and could be implemented at little to no cost at all. So this guide is available on the Warwickshire Business Watch website for you to download in a digital version or print hard copies if needed. We also have them in printed copies if you require them as well as part of a crime prevention pack. Please request this from myself via the email displayed on the last slide of this presentation. Next slide, please. Right, so the National Cybersecurity Center also put together a small business guide to help businesses improve their cybersecurity, following just 5 easy steps. By securing your basics for your business cybersecurity, you could save time, money, and business reputation as well, as these are the most affected areas in the event of a cyber attack for a business. If you want to improve your cybersecurity further, you can also seek certification under the Cyber Essentials scheme, which has the benefit of demonstrating to your clients that you take the protection of their data seriously and have the peace of mind that you have covered the basics of your cybersecurity as well. Next slide, please. So in Warwickshire, the Business Watch scheme has been created in partnership between the Police and Crime Commission's Office, Warwickshire County Council and Warwickshire Police, working with partner agencies including cyber and rural colleagues to help and support businesses protect themselves from crime. So if we move on to the next slide, please. We are now, so we have a dedicated website as well, which has a range of crime prevention advice, news on latest crime trends and protection tools as well. We also work with our police colleagues to provide businesses with an incident log alert that includes latest incidents that took place in Warwickshire. From this, businesses can identify latest criminal trends and are kept up to date with what is going on in their area. So we act as a single point of contact for businesses, encouraging our Business Crime Hub to have a two-way communication system and urge businesses to come and talk to us if they have any particular concerns. We also have 2 designer crime officers in our team that help and support businesses with necessary crime prevention advice. Also, part of our work includes face-to-face visits to businesses and provide them with tailored crime prevention advice based on their particular vulnerabilities and concerns. All right, so if you go to the next slide, please. So it is vitally important to report incidents if and when they occur. You can report fraud and cybercrime to Action Fraud 24/7 using their online reporting tool found on the Action Fraud website. The National Cybersecurity Center also has a reporting system. If you encounter any potential phishing email, as my colleague previously said, please do report it to the email attached on this slide. Warwickshire County Council trading standards are also dealing with reports from businesses. Please use the email attached to report any incidents of fraud and cyber attack. So reporting online is quick and easy, and it helps form a bigger picture of what the issues really are and the impact that they may have on our business community. So if we go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So to wrap up, we've put together some hygiene tips for you today and cover the basics of cybersecurity. So make sure you self-isolate your data, monitor and secure your accounts and passwords, practice social distancing from unknown senders, make use of protective equipment such as antivirus and firewalls, avoid contact with suspicious emails and attachments, clean computer system and mobile devices. Where applicable, please use two-factor authentication to put extra layer of protection to your accounts. And last but not least, we encourage you to report any incident or phishing email you receive. Overall, we need to see a broader reporting requirement across every industry. Not only would increased transparency drive greater protection, but the fact that there are businesses outside of regulation that don't need to report anything at all shows a lack of balance. So hence the reason we need to kind of focus on reporting as well. So if you go to the next slide now, I want you to think about your particular business and ask yourselves these questions. What do you think are your particular risk factors? What are you currently doing to prevent? What do you think you can do more to improve? And who can you work with to achieve this? So we encourage partnership working as a highly important form of crime prevention, which proved itself useful in the last couple of years as well. So if you go to the next slide, please. So I'd like to thank you all for attending today's session. We will be here for a couple of more minutes to answer any questions that you may have. Please note down our email addresses as well and make contact should you require any assistance. Thank you very much.